Uh,
Yeah, I love that new voice. So, welcome to the August 12th, 2021 Inspiring Author Conversations. I'm Kathy Davis with Davis Creative Publishing Partners, and today we'll be speaking with Kay Uhles, writer, editor, writing coach, and author of Parts, Pieces, and Particulars, a primer for single moms raising sons and single dads raising daughters. Our topic today is going to be ignoring in the Memoir Schmemoir voice, or Once More with Feeling. I love that one.
if you go back one, yeah. If you go back one,
I'm going to have everybody mute
stay
yourself. Let's see, I've got a couple more coming in. Here we go.
visually or something.
And looks like everybody's just about muted here. As you come in, just mute yourself, please. Awesome. Terrific. You have quite a fan club. They're just coming in from all over, Kay. Awesome.
Can't see everybody. Oh, there's Joanne.
Hi, Joanne.
Joanne.
Awesome. Karen, fantastic. So if I've muted you, it's just for efficiency. And please don't take it personally. So before I welcome Kay and welcome any additional members we have coming in today, the call is being recorded and you'll receive a link to the YouTube video within about 48 hours. Let's see, it's Thursday. Julie's on vacation. That means it'll be early next week. Your attendance at these meetings serves as your permission to be seen in the recordings. Please mute yourself if you've not already done so. And we promise to end the call around noon or shortly thereafter. Please notice your chat button at the bottom of your screen. If you have any questions, please drop them into that chat and we'll either call on you or I'll ask the question for you. And help me welcome Kay Uhles. She is writer, editor, writing coach, author. Kay's worked with hundreds of authors and contributors on sharpening the craft of their writing. Kay's been called a rock star when it comes to brainstorming, creating clear outlines, writing engaging text, and editing. She believes all people have a story to tell and makes the process easy and fun. She'll make you look good. I have heard that from many of our authors. Kay's a retired community administrator, former court reporter with a master's in adult education, as well as training and experience in motivational interviewing. I love that topic. Who knew that there was a motivational interview class one could take? And that's probably why you're called Not So Scary as an editor. And your book, Parts and Pieces and Particulars, I'm going to let you tell us a little bit about that in a second. But everyone, help me welcome Kay Uhles, Kay Clark Uhles.
Hi, everybody.
Yay. Happy hands.
Happy.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about parts. We'll start with that, Parts, Pieces, and Particulars. I know that was an inspiration and in your head for quite a while, so we finally got it pulled out.
For a few years. So yes, that rambled around in my head for about 20 years. And I finally got it all down on paper, and it was published in November of last year with the help of Kathy and Jack and the team at Davis Creatives that I so totally appreciate. Parts, Pieces, and Particulars is based on my raising my son after being raised myself with 3 sisters, a mom, and a grandmother. I had no experience with baby boys, big boys, had none. And I divorced at a young age. My son was 5 and my daughter was 2. So I was okay with my daughter. But I had really no clue about boys. So I, after I had raised them for a while, I thought, you know what, I think that, women need to know this. And then I met men who were raising their daughters. And they were just as much in the clouds as I was raising my son. So there's a glossary in it, tells about all the parts. But other than that, I mean, some of it is serious and some of it is just, how to fish off of the back porch with, gummy worms and, spaghetti and goldfish, out of the crackers. And some of it is serious and some of it is just kind of fun and I actually interviewed some 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds, I think, so long ago, on how to make car noises. So that if you want to know how to make car noises, that's also in the book. And it's available on Amazon, or you can contact me, and I've got a couple of copies here in Tucson, since I'm in a temporary place right now, but I could also mail you a copy if you'd like.
Signed copies even, yeah.
Yes, signed copies. Be happy to sign them.
So Kay, you help, just for everyone on the call who may not know, you also help us with our anthologies. And this year was kind of, I don't know about you, but it's a little overwhelming for me. We've done 4 so far, and we have one coming out October 21st. But Kay is our resident cheerleader and writer, editor, coach, queen nudger, and to help the authors craft their chapter for them, which kind of reminds me, I've heard you say often, more than once, that you're on a mission to change the way people think about writing their stories. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, for years, I had the Memoir Schmemoir, hence the title of this interview, that voice in my head that, what are you thinking about? You know, I didn't think that I had anything interesting enough to talk about. I didn't think that I was a writer. I mean, I knew I loved writing. I knew I was good at it. But, you know, when somebody talks about writing a book, I was the first one to hide in the corner and say, no, not me. Nobody wants to read my stories. So I just, and then as I got older, I started realizing the importance of writing the stories, because both of my parents are gone. And I today would love to have their stories. I would love, I know their history. I know where they came from. I had an uncle who wrote a book about our ancestors and where they lived, their birth dates and their dates of death, but there's no stories. And I just think that stories are so important to communicate. It's communication with our next generations that come behind us. I just think it's important to write stories down. And I think that everybody has stories. Some of the, I'm writing right now my memoirs, but I'm fictionalizing them just because I have another idea that I want to go into in a series after this first one. But this first, they're all memoirs, and there's some stories that, I did not even think about at the time that might be interesting, that really I think are fascinating. Using toothpaste as wood putty and trying to repair some damage to a wood frame that one of my dogs tore up. At the time it was just, I was a single mother trying to do the best I could, and I've had people say, oh my gosh, I hadn't even thought about toothpaste. So
little things like that. Yeah.
Little things like that. It's not the great big moments in life that make a memoir. It's the little things, no matter how insignificant they feel at the time, they make a good story. So to write them down, we leave a legacy to our kids, to our grandkids, to nieces, nephews, even our siblings that might want to know in years from now what we were like and how we relate to the rest of the family. Creativity and reflection is therapeutic. It can be good for your health, and you might even discover that's something new about yourself in the process.
Terrific. Now, I know in helping with our anthologies, we'll have anywhere from 20 to 40 authors in one book. And sometimes I'll hear the authors say, well, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to write about. Who wants to hear what I have to say? How do you get them past that and motivated and kicked into gear so that they start writing? And then you can guide them through that. How do you get them motivated?
The first thing I believe that you have to first enjoy the process. So I try to help the contributors in the anthologies and anybody I work with to have fun with it and to just enjoy it. I want to talk to the authors and get to know them. I want to see them on Zoom and see them light up. I mean, there have been so many of those contributors, Kathy, that I talk to on Zoom, and it's like I don't have a clue what to write about. And I'll say, just tell me about your life. Tell me about who you are and what you do, and anything you want to tell me. And I can usually see them light up on Zoom. And it's like, bingo, there it is. And they say, oh yeah, that's it. That's it. That's what I want to write about. So it's kind of a gut feeling, and it's also a visual of seeing their eyes and seeing the excitement in their.
Well, I know you've also helped some of our authors who, they'll say, well, I've been writing this book and I've got 10 chapters and I don't know how to end it. And I don't know, what do I do now? When do I stop talking? When do I stop writing? And I've sent a couple of those people to you. And I love how you're able to help them find what I call the silver lining and, close it out, finish it, stop talking.
Yeah, it's done when it's done. People say, well, I mean, there's on the anthologies, there's certainly a word limit, but yeah, it's done when it tells you it's done, it's finished. You told your story. I like the idea of finding the silver lining in stories and anthology chapters. Sometimes, and there's always a silver lining, in my opinion, anyway. But again, I just have the author talk, and let's talk about it. I think brainstorming is one of the most fun parts about writing and pulling a story out of the people I'm working with. I love hearing their stories, and so to conclude something, and I'm hearing that from another person that I've worked with or meet with anyway. I don't know how to end it. And what she has done is she just goes back at the beginning and tries to get that feeling about what's the feeling, how can I conclude this? So I think it's different for everybody. I think there's lessons to be learned, and if there's a lesson, maybe that's how you end it. The silver lining is how you end it, or the cliffhanger is how you end it. It depends on the story.
Well, I know when you mentioned Memoir Schmemoir and once more with feeling, tell us a little bit about that phrase, once more with feeling. How do feelings play a part in the writing process?
Feelings are huge in the writing process. There's a saying that probably everybody has heard in writing is show, don't tell. So when you show something, when you tell something, you're making a description of, I can say, I'm sitting in front of a hutch, well, tell me about that hutch. Tell me what that hutch looks like. Tell me what it feels like to be sitting with your back into this hutch. Tell me the feeling with whatever you're writing about. I want to experience that as a reader. I want to experience the feeling. I want to experience the sights, the sounds, the smells, even the feel of what you're talking about. So don't tell us about just this blank hutch. Tell us about, the memories that are in that hutch and how those memories make you feel. So it's just bringing your feelings into whatever you're writing, and don't shy away from that. That's what readers want. They want to know the feeling behind what you're writing.
So is that one of the ways? I know we get a lot of compliments on Kay, where especially through our anthology authors, they're within the anthology, you're only asked to write 1,500 to 2,000 words for the ones that we sponsor. And most of the authors will come back and say, oh, Kay made it so much easier. I couldn't have done it without Kay. So that feeling part, is that one of the suggestions you have for the authors? And what are some of the other suggestions that reward you with all these compliments at the end of the project?
Well, I think yes, I do encourage them to use the feeling, bring that feeling in. I think that empathy and just listening to them and understanding their story, understanding who they are. And I believe that people, in my experience, and even for me, I tend to shy away from putting my emotions out there on my sleeves and exposing myself. but that's what the readers want. And that's what sells stories, is to put yourself out there and to go into it at a deeper level of what who you are. That's what sells books. That's what sells these stories, these anthologies, is don't be afraid to be out there and be who you are. Put your personality into it. That's one thing I always tell the contributors to the anthologies is put some personality into it. Don't shy away from being goofy or I can't remember, I can't think of one of the examples right now, but some of them are delightful. And I just worked with an author through her book, and she wrote a story. I won't go into it too much. It's not been published yet, but she wrote a story and she described very briefly what she saw. And I said, tell me more about that. What else did you see? And I mean, she gave me a lot. And it's like, that needs to be in there. We need to put that in there just because of the excitement that I'm hearing. And it's just delightful to read the details. So don't shy away from the details. And the
Well,
feelings.
yeah, and Stanford University just did a study on storytelling, and showed that, through the use of storytelling, your reader actually releases oxytocin in our brains, which is the empathy drug. And as you're telling your story, whether it's verbally or in writing, physically people become more endeared, and you've created a connection by telling that story. Everyone has a story to tell from childhood on. And I love how you're able to help people pull those stories out. I know you wear a bunch of different hats between writing coach and editor and nudge, proofreader. Can you tell us the difference between each of those roles and what it's kind of like to work with you in each of those roles?
Okay. So the coaching part is really my teaching people how to bring their story out. My hope is that in coaching, that they can just take it and run on their own with support, certainly, and encouragement. I'm always happy to do that, and a nudge as well. But to be able to know how to pull a story together, what's needed in a story, character development, and story development, organization. That's really the coaching part of it. The editing is once it is written, and the coaching is primarily before the story is finished, whether it's a book or a chapter. The coaching happens at the beginning, where you talk over how they're going to bring this story out. And maybe other ideas. That the brainstorming is a big one. The editing is once the story is written, and I can go over it. I have a background in, like you said earlier, court reporting, where every person, nobody said a grammatically correct sentence every time. So our punctuation it can be done on correct punctuation can be done on incorrect grammar. And that was one of the things that I learned in court reporting, is that people don't talk in perfect sentences all the time. I stutter and I dash myself, meaning, I get convoluted and I go off on one tangent and come back. And so the editing is the punctuation, it's the grammar, it's the building of a sentence, it's the building of a paragraph, it's the building of the whole book or the chapter, and the organization of it. So the editing is the nitty gritty, I guess, where the coaching is the bigger picture in the story and how to bring that story out. Proofreading is just that. It's just a matter of really looking at capitalization and punctuation as well.
Getting all the commas in the right place, and
Yes.
getting rid of ones that you don't need. Yeah.
Yes, correct. Yeah, make sure all the semicolons work right.
Terrific. So I also want to remind everybody that if you have a question for Kay, please use your chat box and we'll either pull you into the conversation or I'll be able to ask the question for you. When you do private coaching for people helping with their individual books, tell us a little bit about that process. How does that work?
Well, coaching, I'm sorry, did you say coaching or editing?
The coaching part.
Okay.
Because I've heard you talk about you have groups that you help write.
Right.
And you facilitate, and then you also work one-on-one with authors.
Right. So for me, it really looks like whatever the client wants it to look like. So I like to start by meeting them on Zoom, over a Zoom call, so I can get to know them, so I can get to know their personality, so I can see them light up when they talk about whatever it is they're interested in, or what is their passion that they may not even put their finger on yet. I can usually see it in their eyes and in their body language. We brainstorm, and that's usually the fun part. I love the brainstorming. Everybody has ideas and you get to throw those out without being criticized or shut down, and you just throw out these ideas that might be coming to you. That's always the fun part, I think, for both me and for the client. I like to teach them how to improve and how to use one sentence to build on another one, and then the paragraphs and how to move along in their story like that, move their story along.
So a quick question about, we've got some questions coming in over here.
Okay.
If we get back to the memoirs, John's asking, how does character development play in a memoir?
Character development, I mean, whether it's a memoir, even in a nonfiction book, character development is big because your readers want to know about that character.
Mm-hmm.
And so just to say that, they dress this way, or use more colorful language when it comes to describing the characters, and to build that character so people know them through the stories. My dad, I could say that he wore a top hat, and he always wore a trench coat, and he was always this fancy dress, not fancy dresser, but he actually was a male model and wound up in some magazines or newspapers, I guess. But so talk about that, build the character. But he also has, he was a smoker and he loved his beer. And so to develop that character and to put those, every part and piece of that character in that you remember, without telling us that he was a snappy dresser. Show us how he was a snappy dresser. So that's character development.
Included in the copy. Yeah.
Yes. And, the personality, my dad was loving. Of course, he was a, disciplinarian too. So that is part of all building the character, as opposed to just telling us that he was the disciplinarian or he was loving. Show us how. Show us. So that's character development.
Awesome. Barry has a question, and I'm getting ready to add a link into the chat here for you, Barry. If we address the legal aspects of writing others by name, in general, what we do is, if you know the person and you're going to mention them in the book, it's high courtesy to let them know that in advance and get their permission to do that. If you don't know the person, then I leave that up to more legal experts than myself. There is a blogger out there named Jane Friedman, and it's Jane Friedman. Let's see, how do I get this to go here? There we go. She's, one of her blogs specifically talks about rights and ownership and what you can and can't use. Now, she herself is also not an attorney, but she is a she has a high reputation in the writing industry for knowing what she talks about. She's got a great blog on how to navigate that world of when to use someone's name, when to use a song title, when to not use a song title, those types of things. There also, if you're in the St. Louis area, although I know she practices in other states also, there is a publishing attorney here in St. Louis that used to be out in LA and is very familiar with those. I mean, if you're really getting into some nitty gritty. Kay and I had an incident one time where we did pull in our business attorney for a decision. There was a divorce in the making during the chapter writing process, and it got a little sticky there, and we kind of pulled that chapter back and held it for another publishing. And as I recall, we changed that chapter because the author, or not the author, our attorney highly suggested that we not talk about the soon-to-be ex. Little things like that where, you'll feel a little nudge and go, oh, I better ask about this one. Let me see if we've got any other. Jane Friedman, I put her link there in if it's FRIEDMAN. And then someone else has a question about why some editors get their names listed in books and some don't. Some editors have it in their contracts that, if they're going to be editing your book, they would like to have their name and their website listed. We leave that decision up to our individual authors, and sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. If the editor if that's not in the editing contract, then it's left up to the author. If most people I'm writing about would not give me their consent, then I would not use their name, because that tells me right there that there's a lawsuit possibility. You want to change the names and change the enough details in this, what I've learned from attorneys, and I'm not a legal, what do you call it? I'm not a professional legal advisor. What I have learned from working with authors and attorneys is that you need to change that character enough so that the details no longer point in the direction of the person that you're talking about. You've created a new character. We did that one time where someone was talking about, they were a college, on a college swim team, and an incident happened, and we converted that, and it was on a golf team, and the gender of the person changed, the name changed, the state changed, the university changed. There was no way they could have tracked it down. And that was an attorney writing that book. So using a pseudonym, again, you want to change the name, use a pseudonym for that one name, Barry, or for the whole book.
For the whole book.
I would still not use somebody's name.
No, I'm talking about isn't it okay as long as I give the people pseudonyms?
Well, if you're changing each individual author's name,
No, they're not authors, just people in my life.
The characters that are in the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would still change them slightly. You add something to it so it's not specifically pointing to a person. It's what we've been told. Because that person, whether you've changed their name or not, can still come back and file a lawsuit. Again, we don't want that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. If I've not gotten your question, please raise your hand. They were kind of flooding in there at the last minute. Joanne, you want to unmute yourself, please?
I have a bad habit of starting a story, telling it in first person, and then I tell it in third person. So I just wanted to, switch over. But Kay has reined me in and makes it all sound good. So I just thought I'd let everybody know, if you have that challenge, she can help you.
Thank you for adding that. That's awesome.
Thank you, Joanne. Thank you.
Yeah. So are there any other questions? So Kay, I understand that you have a gift for the first person that wants to jump into the chat box today.
I do.
Tell us about that.
Well, like I said, brainstorming is one of the most fun aspects of writing, I think, and pulling your story together. So I would like to offer 30 minutes free brainstorming just to get your story off the ground and to get ideas that you may not have had. Having a new perspective, whether it's with me, another coach, or a group, a writing group, which I love my writing groups. Just brainstorm. So I'm offering 30 minutes free. Just contact me. I think Kathy has my website that will go out that she'll mention.
Mhm.
Contact me and email me. And I'm
So I
happy
see
to
Trish has already
brainstorm.
jumped in on that.
All right, Trish.
We're going, so the way it sounds to me is that if you would like that half-hour conversation with Kay, she's offering it to everyone on the phone, on the call,
I am.
on the Zoom, wherever we are today. And the email that will go out with a follow-up link to the Zoom recording on YouTube will have all of Kay's contact information in it. And that way you can reach out to her directly and get that scheduled. And Kay, if you want to send me an email, I know you have that calendar link also. Send that
Yes.
to me and we'll include that so that they can go
Okay.
straight to your calendar.
That
I
sounds
want to
great.
thank everybody for being here today. We're doubling up on some of our lunch and learns for the fall, and the next one coming up is August 26th, and that's with another inspiring author, Dr. Pat Pickett. She was in our most recent anthology called Living My Truth, a tribute to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So we'll be interviewing her on August 26th, same time, 11:30 a.m. Central. And I appreciate you all being here. Kay, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for
Thank
all
you. I
your
appreciate you.
wise information this morning. Everyone enjoy your day. Thank you. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.